Hey guys, it's Miss Cuban here. In this lesson, we're going to talk about ratios and proportions. Ratios. Ratios is when you are comparing two quantities. I'm comparing two quantities. That means I can compare part to part. I can compare part to whole. And I also can compare whole to part. If you looked, I wrote it also three different ways. You can write ratios as a fraction, with a colon, or with the word to. Either way, the order matters. If part is first above on the fraction, then part is the first thing you are looking at. If the whole is the first thing before the to, then the whole is the number that's the first thing in the problem. Order matters. Okay? And I'm comparing two items. For example, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 2. Okay, so let's look at this little diagram of stars. I can compare this three different ways. For example, let's start with part to part. I can compare this as in I have red triangles to green triangles. Those are my parts. So red, I have 3 reds, and I have 2 green. So my ratio is 3 to 2. I could also do it as part to whole. I could say red to orange. Oh, I want whole. Whole means I'm talking about all of them. So red triangles, there are 3. Whole, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. So my ratio is 3 to 10. I could also write that as 3 over 10. A fraction is the same thing. And then I could write whole to part. Well, my whole is 10. My part was 3. My order would be 10 to 3. These are not the same ratio because I'm not comparing. They're not written the same. Okay, this is part to whole to part. They are similar in this problem because they use the same material, but I did not say that there are 10 red stars and 3 whole, 3 altogether. There are actually 3 red stars. So the order matters in how you write it. Okay? That's ratios. Ratios is just comparing. I'm just looking at boys to girls, peanut butter to jelly, boys to the whole class, girls to the whole class. I'm looking at cats to dogs, cats to all the animals. I'm just comparing. Proportions are when you have equal ratios. It's when I take that ratio and I make it equal to another. For example, if I say I have 2 stars for every 3 circles, that's a ratio. I have 2 stars for every 3 circles. But if I had double it, I would then have 2 stars for 3 circles and another 2 stars for 3 circles and another, let's say triple, 2 stars for 3 circles. So we're saying that 2 over 3 is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I say that 2/3 is equal to 6/9. That is a proportion. Okay, because I followed the same ratio multiple times. And you can simplify that 6/9 and it would still take you back to your original because they are equal. That's a proportion. So, what if I give you the ratio and I'm predicting, let's say I'm predicting a future ratio that's equivalent. How can I find that? Good question. Let's find out. Okay, here's the problem. A car travels 120 miles in 3 hours. How far will it take to travel 200 miles? So in this, I'm sorry. Okay, in this problem, I know it's important that we have 120 miles in 3 hours. And I know that we are looking for the distance in 200 miles. So I asked myself, what am I comparing? I am comparing my distance of miles for hours. And I'm going to draw a ratio table to help me. The first thing in the problem said 120 miles in 3 hours. My question said how far, which means I don't know my miles, for 200. I think the typo should be how long it will take for 200 miles. So, that should be long. I don't know how long, but I know I'm going 200 miles. Okay. Now, a proportion says that these two are equal to each other. So to figure that out, I can look at my first fraction and see, can I simplify that? Yes. And because all these are equal, I'm just going to make another column in my table. 120 and 3 can be divided by 3. So 120 divided by 3 is 40. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So I'm simplifying it. Now, my question mark's looking at my hours, so I'm going to look from my 40 to my 200. How can I go from 40 to 200 when I'm talking about multiplying in groups? If I don't know that on hand, I can divide to find out. 40 cannot go into 2, can't go into 20, but I know if I multiply by 5, I would get 200. So I multiply by 5. Well, whatever I do on my top, if you remember my pictures, I have to do to my denominator. So 1 times 5 is 5. So it will take the car 5 hours to drive 200 miles. That is how you solve a proportion. Let's try another one. An animal shelter currently only has 30 dogs and 20 cats. 30 dogs and 20 cats. What is the ratio of cats to animals? So I need my table. I know I have dogs and I have cats. And my problem says I have 30 dogs for 20 cats. My question wants to know what is the amount of cats to animals. Cats to animals. Animals means all together. So I would need to make a new column. Cats to animals. Well, 30 plus 20 is 50. So my ratio is 20 to 50. Can I simplify that? Yes. I can divide by 10 to simplify. 20 divided by 10 is 2. 50 divided by 10 is 5. 30 divided by 10 is 3. My ratio is 2 cats for every 5 animals. But what if I wanted to make a prediction? A proportion lets me make that prediction. I want to know how many dogs will there be if there were 100 animals. So I know that 5 times 20 is 100. Whatever I do to one part, I have to do to another. 3 times 20 is 60. That means there are 60 dogs for every 100 animals. It would also hold true that there will be 40 cats for every 100 animals. No matter what, this ratio will always stay the same. And they are all equal to each other because they are proportions. I hope this helps you with ratios and proportions. Have a good day, guys.